What's up, guys? It's your girl Kia, and I'm back with another video. As you can see from the title below, we are talking about Jussie Smollett's new documentary, The Truth About Jussie Smollett, that covers the quote-unquote hoax that happened back in 2019, where he reported that he was attacked by two white men during a polar vortex in Chicago, where he was beaten up and put a noose around his neck. And let me tell you, this documentary is a long time coming, and what I mean by that is that there has been so much speculation about it. Jussie has never changed his story, ever changed his story. The Osundairo brothers coming out and saying that they did do this and the reason why they did it, the Hollywood allure of all of it. It was all gonna eventually end up as a documentary, as all great and curious and weird stories do when it comes to famous people. And nowadays people really love a documentary. And what I was surprised by is that Jussie Smollett is in this documentary along with the Osundairo brothers. But the fact that Jussie is in it is really surprising to me. Because let's be clear, this documentary did not paint Jussie in a good light, but it also didn't paint him in a bad light. I think he is in the exact same place he was before this documentary was released. Yes, there are little tidbits in here that make you go, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why didn't it show that? And two of those main things, and I will go over it right now, is the fact that there are two witnesses who saw kind of the same thing Jussie saw. Not the exact same thing, which is how he kind of presents it in this documentary, that, they corroborate my story. Not exactly, don't exactly corroborate your story. So Rebecca Bell, Smollett's neighbor, says that outside of their building around 1:45 a.m. there was a white man who looked like he had a bit of rope hanging out of his back of his pocket. Mind you, the attack happened at 2:30, and this all happened, and the white man was spotted at 12:45. So it's a huge gap of time to me in my book. And also, if this man's just been hanging out outside of your building in the freezing cold weather, when Jussie came out to go get a sandwich, why wasn't he attacked on the way to the sandwich shop? But that, again, I'm just giving you what that made me think of. The other guy is Anthony Moore, a security guard at the nearby Sheraton Hotel, says he saw a white man in a mask around 5 a.m. Moore claims police asked him to identify the person and was presented with photos of a black man. And he's in the documentary saying, that really confused me because I saw a white guy, and now you're presenting me with a picture of dark-skinned black man. I mean, I can pick the lightest of the guys who's not really light, but that's not who I saw. And they were like, oh, okay, no problem. Just pick somebody who's as close as possible. Which, if that's true, that's very, very shady police work and should never happen. And it continues to go on about how the police never believed Jussie. And again, we know all of this. We know that the police never believed Jussie once they start looking into the story. And they pinpoint moments that were confusing to them. Like, we all know the noose. Him having the noose on when the police got there. He says that he took the noose off and put it back on just to show the police that, like, this is what happened to me. Does that sound ridiculous? Yes. But does it make sense? Like, yes, to say, hey, this was on my neck. This is what it looks like. When you think about other crime scenes, or other things that happen, they want you to not touch anything. Well, how was it when you got here? Did it look like this? Where was this? How was your hair? What clothing were you wearing? They want you to have all those things on so that they can kind of piece together everything. And Jussie's original interview with the police officers is not on that body cam footage. I know there's been a lot of talk about body cam because of the recent Rhode Island DA, AG screaming out, I'm an AG, I'm an AG. Well, here's the thing with body cam footage. If you're a witness or a victim, you can request for the cops to turn that body cam footage off. It's not, they can turn it off. But if you're a perpetrator of a crime, they are not going to turn it off. And I think it's respectable to turn it off for a witness or a victim because, especially with people putting it all over YouTube, you don't want your face and birthday and all this information blasted all over YouTube. And he didn't want it public. Maybe he got emotional during that interview. Maybe he was angry, cried, cussed, said things he shouldn't have said just out of anger and fear. And he didn't want that plastered all over YouTube and social media. I understand that. But that is one of the things that the cops are kind of looking at. Like, he wanted the body cam footage turned off. He kept the noose around his neck. He still had the sandwich when he came back into the complex, and he also wasn't running when he was walking back into the complex. He was walking when he came back to where he was living. And I agree with both of those things. Like, when you are getting jumped by two guys, you are swinging with everything. And once it's over, it's over. You're running away. You're not going to go find your sandwich and then pick it up and walk it back. So there are definitely holes in his story, but also I feel like the police were mad and went a little bit overboard with the Chief of D's press conference, where they're bringing up that he faked a couple of other things at his job, that he wanted to raise his profile. He was mad about his income. To me, that never sounded plausible. The whole situation doesn't sound plausible. It all sounds dumb. All of it, from start to finish. It sounds like dumb stuff people do, but it doesn't sound plausible to say, I'm not happy with my pay, so let me fake a crime on myself. I mean, I guess that would raise his profile, but it opens up the door to too many questions and too much confusion. And surprisingly, I think I said this, I'm not sure if I did, the Osundairo brothers are also in this documentary. And listen, they do not come off well at all. When you guys watch it, you will see why. They come off as two guys who are looking for their 15 minutes of fame, thought they were going to be more than what they were on Empire, thought they was going to get where they were, but they befriended Jussie and they're training him and they're thought they're going to be more in his life or whatever. And it didn't work out that way. So it just seemed weird in the documentary. They also have a book coming out that in the end, they couldn't even tell you what the title of the book was. They kept getting it confused. So they don't come off, I don't want to say they don't come off credible, because I can't tell if they came off credible. They just come off goofy. They just come off as two goofs who are just getting stuck in the limelight and just want to be famous. But Jussie says that it was not them. But there's video of them purchasing the clothing that they wear to attack Jussie. I had heard of this footage, but I had never seen it. But there's clear as day footage of these guys purchasing these things. There's a check from Jussie for $3,500, which is very low for an attack like this. I'm just putting that out there. But they're saying it was to pay for this attack that they went along with. Jussie is saying that it is for some kind of herbal supplement to help him cut weight that he needed to do for the show, for his health, whatever. But that's why he was getting it, because it's not legal in the United States. So all of this is dumb. Jussie, you're a famous actor. Why are you going through illegal substances to cut weight when you could easily contact your doctor or your nutritionist or whatever? They would have gotten you a trainer and cut weight. You two idiots, the Osundairo brothers, why would this be like, okay, sure, we'll do this. We'll go beat you up for $3,500. $3,500, guys. I mean, I know you probably wanted to continue to be friends with somebody famous, but $3,500 for this type of madness is crazy. So once they go through this whole story, it starts to go into the court case of everything. And Jussie took a deal for making a false police report, which I think is like a misdemeanor. It's a misdemeanor, but he accepted the deal because he didn't want to deal with the hassle of going back and forth to court and dealing with all of this. He just wanted to be over and get back to his career. I understand that. Fine. But then the prosecutor, I feel like, and they show in the documentary, oversteps because like, yeah, you took this deal, but we're going to charge you anyway with 5 counts of lying to the police. And he, even with his witnesses, with all the amounting evidence that the police have, they found him guilty of this. And he was, he got 30 months in jail, 30 months probation, 150 days in Cook County Jail, restitution for $120,000, and that's for the amount of hours it spent, testing things, man hours, looking up everybody, just the research in the case, and then a $25,000 fine. He only served 6 days in jail. They appealed so that he could come out. They appealed to get him out so that he could help work on his appeal to overturn the conviction. And I think the conviction has overturned, but not because Jussie is not guilty, but because it technically kind of falls in the double jeopardy stage. So the part of the documentary that I got really frustrated on is that's towards the end. After everything is done, they talk about the corruption in the Chicago Police Department, which to me was like, water is wet. What are you all, is this the turn you're gonna go? And they go into how it relates to Jussie and how the guy who worked at the Sheraton, the patrol officer who saw the white guy that he claimed was white, that when he saw him, there's 10 seconds of footage that is missing, that these women in the documentary who are helping Jussie feel like was erased by the police department. And it is a full 10 seconds missing. And you can see that because it goes from 50 seconds and then you can see the video jolt forward to this man already out the door and the Osundairo brothers running out. and it's now 50, instead of being at 40 seconds, it's at 50 seconds. Now, do I believe the police have that footage? Sure. Do I think it should have never been cut out? Sure. But then at the end of the documentary, they show the image of what, Jussie's team that he hired, these two investigator women, they show that same black man, this picture, a video of the guy leaving the cab. And he goes, oh, yeah, that's a black guy. And it's like, this is why they say sometimes eyewitness testimony is not reliable. So even if he, they had that extra 10 seconds of footage, do I think it would have changed anything? No. But do I think it's super bad that the police lost it? Absolutely. They also talk about the police corruption in the case of, I think his name is, oh my goodness, I have to look it up real quick. Quan McDonald. Oh, hold on, I have to look this up really, really quick. So I want to make sure that I'm saying this properly. Oh goodness. 1 second. Laquan McDonald. So Laquan McDonald was shot by the police, and he was shot, actually, the police officer shot him after like 6 seconds of getting out of the car. Laquan McDonald was unarmed, and he was shot 16 times. And half of those shots were while he were on the ground. And what they're trying to say, what it looked like in this documentary, trying to say that the police in Chicago are corrupt. They'll go to a McDonald's and tell them to give them footage of something, of a crime, and they'll hide the footage and this and that. All of that is true. The Chicago Police Department is corrupt. The chief of D's who gave the press talk conference at the Jussie Smollett case, he ended up drunk in his car, like having to resign instead of retire because he was drunk in his car. What looked like after his retirement party, and said it was a medical emergency, but in reality, he was blitzed in his car. All of these, and all the misconduct charges against all the police officers who worked in the case, and there was 563 misconduct complaints against the police officers who worked on the case. One of them actually was anti-LGBTQIA, for one who answered the door to take Jussie's statement, or who answered the call when it was first reported. All of these things are true. I'm not sure about the officer who's anti-LGBTQIA. I don't know, but all of these things could be true. Fine, but tell us what makes sense then. So what makes sense? That there are two white men that attacked Jussie Smollett, but never committed another hate crime ever again against another black person. It was just this one time that this happened to Jussie, never happened again. The white guys never blagged on social media about it. They never were caught. There's no DNA tying them. There's no real footage of them, except for the one that they're trying to save, this white or maybe black guy getting out of the car. I guess, I don't know. I really wish that this documentary shed some light on something, but it didn't. Everything is just as blurry and muddled. I mean, why would the Osundairo brothers do this? Why would they make this up? Why, if they're saying that they did it, Jussie is also not saying, well, if the cops are saying they did it to me, then they did it to me, and I would love to know why. And then maybe the two of them can refute back and forth. Well, you told us to. He can say, well, no, I would never tell you to do something like that. Why would you do that? Instead, Jussie is still sticking to his story that they were two white males. Listen, to me, this almost makes Jussie look a little bit more sociopathic. And I know that's a giant word. We shouldn't be just throwing out terms like that. I just had a video about this before. But the reason why I say this is because he is so stuck to this story. He has never wavered on his story. And a lot of people are saying, well, doesn't that mean he's telling the truth? Not necessarily, because there doesn't seem to be any truth in the story. The story doesn't make sense, I'm sorry. I know that you have the old adage of when you hear hoops outside, you think horses, not, Santa's reindeer. So he's saying these things happen. There's nothing to disprove that they didn't happen the way they said. There's nothing to prove that it did happen the way he said. But he is sticking to this story. Hardcore. And it's a little, and I think that's the issue that everybody's having, that there has been no adjustment to the story even a little bit. Like, even if you are telling the truth, you remember things, you have realizations of, like, the anxiety kind of wears off, the frustration wears off, and you start thinking clearly, more of your memory comes back, and it's been the same exact story every single time. So if you want to watch a documentary and waste an hour and a half, you're more than welcome to do so. There's not a ton of new information in there. The other thing is what I didn't know is that one of the brothers is a convicted felon and had a bunch of weapons in his house. So they are saying that they tricked the brothers or told the brothers that, well, if you tell us this, this, and this, then we'll drop your record and it'll be expunged and this and that. His record is not expunged. His record is not sealed. He still has that felony charge. I don't know if he was charged for the gun they found in his house, for the shotgun they found, but none of that happened. Again, is that sign of corruption? Yes, it absolutely is. But it doesn't change the fact that it doesn't clear up Jussie's story. And I think that's what everybody is looking for, is for it to be a clear case of Jussie saying, yeah, the Osundairo brothers did this. I don't know why they did it. I'm pissed off that they did it. And the fact they're trying to turn on me and say that I paid them to do this is not true. I think everybody could swallow that a little bit more than him sticking to these were two white guys who did this. So again, you want to watch the documentary, you're more than welcome to do so. You're not going to learn a whole lot from it. You're not going to get a whole lot out of it. It just seems like another Netflix money grab. But listen, those are my thoughts. Drop them in the comments and let me know if you feel the same way. Let me know your thoughts when you saw the documentary. Maybe you liked it, maybe you hated it, or maybe you're just kind of indifferent like me. Either way, I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.